Hello and welcome to this short information video all about the Year 4 multiplication check. I'm Mr Taylor, I'm the maths lead at Walton Holy Moorside and I also teach in Year 3 within the lower junior department. So this video will cover some of the key points that you will want to know as adults at home. If by the end of the video there are still any questions or anything you're not sure about, then please do get in touch with us. So I will be addressing firstly what the multiplication check is and what that will look like within school, how it's administered, any additional support for pupils with SEN or EAL, why the check is administered within Year 4 and how this relates to current national curriculum expectations, what we are doing within school to support your child and get them ready for the multiplication check. We'll cover some topics, what you can be doing at home, and then lastly, how you can get in touch with us if you do have any further queries. So the multiplication check is an online assessment that's used by schools to determine whether pupils can fluently recall their times table facts up to and including 12 times 12. The test is made up of a set of 25 questions that range from the 2 times table up to the 12 times table. Now some tables are more likely to appear, so those that are deemed slightly trickier, like the 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s and 12s, are more likely to appear than those easier tables like the 2s, 5s and 10s. But obviously we have no way of knowing which questions will appear, so it really is testing the children's broad times table knowledge. The test itself was announced by the Department for Education in September of 2017 and it was made compulsory for all Year 4 children in 2022. So since the summer term of 2022 it has been compulsory for Year 4 children. When completing the test, the children have 6 seconds to answer each question. Now, that doesn't sound like a long time, and we do spend an awful lot of time within school improving children's fluency, getting them ready for the test so that their recall is really speedy. So it does sound like a slightly daunting amount of time, but actually, by the time that the test is administered towards the end of the school year, the children are ready for it. We have prepped them and that their recall is in and around that 6-second mark. So a question will appear on the screen and they have 6 seconds to type their answer in and then it moves on to the next question. On average, it takes around 5 minutes to complete. There will be pupils who may be entitled to breaks, which makes the test slightly longer, but we will come on to that shortly. So the test itself is administered under one-to-one conditions. Now we do try to make sure that that member of staff with the pupil is a member of the lower junior department, just so that they are comfortable and at ease because they're seeing us every day, they know us and they're comfortable around us. So we do try and make sure that it is a member of the lower junior department. Obviously we can't foresee staff absence, so it might be the case that it's Mr Holmes or another member of staff, but we do try and make sure that it's a member of staff that the children know. It's administered within the school day, so it's not out of school and the children are just taken one at a time, and it's usually done in the junior library or a junior classroom that's empty so that the children can really focus under those one-to-one conditions. So the check itself has been designed so that it is inclusive and accessible to as many children as possible, and that does include those with SEND and EAL. Your child's teacher will make sure that any appropriate access arrangements are in place for your child before they take the multiplication check. So these arrangements might include things like changing the size of the font or changing the background colour of the screen. There is also opportunity for us to add in a pause button, so in between each question your child can take a pause before the next one, so that it doesn't just roll through the 25 questions back to back. If this is the case, then your child's teacher will be in touch with you and they can discuss any of these arrangements that might need to be put into place. If you have any concerns about your child accessing the check, or you have a query about it, please do get in touch with your child's class teacher, or you can speak to Mr. Holmes or Mr. McNamara, who is our school Senko. Now, there may be occasions where a child doesn't complete the check, and these criteria include if your child has been absent during the entire 3-week window of the check being administered. They won't be asked to take the check if they are unable to participate even when access arrangements have been put into place. They also won't be asked to sit the test if they are unable to answer some of the easiest questions on the check, or those that are deemed the easiest on the check, and that will link to whether they are working below national curriculum expectations for year 2 in multiplication tables. But you will be aware of that, and I'm sure your child's class teacher will have had those discussions with you before the check takes place. They also won't be asked to take the check if they have just arrived in school during the period of the multiplication test being administered and there isn't enough time for the school to establish your child's abilities. So, for example, if a child joins a school and has English as an additional language. So you might be wondering why the multiplication test is done in year 4 and not in year 6, for example. Well, up until now, there had been no formal measure to judge whether children in England had learnt their times tables or not. So firstly, the purpose of the test is simply to check how well they know their times tables, and it's done in year 4 so that schools can know which pupils need a little bit more support or who needs extra support when moving into year 5 and 6, because we know that times tables and multiplication facts underpin almost every area of maths. So when they're getting into year 5 and 6, if they're still unsure of their times table facts, we can put in support to help them. So the check itself is taken towards the end of year 4 to make sure that children are meeting the benchmark of memorising their times tables up to and including 12 times 12. So it does state in the national curriculum that the current national curriculum expectations of primary school children is that children in year 4 will know their times tables up to 12 times 12 by the end of that year. So it really is directly linked to what we as school have to work towards. So you might be wondering what we as school are doing to support your child with their times tables, but also getting them ready for the times table check towards the end of year 4. So in the lower juniors, we have a really strong focus on times tables. It forms the first part of every maths lesson. So at the start of every maths lesson, there is 10 to 15 minutes of times table practice, and that might include using TT Rockstars, it might include some of the talk times table sessions, it might include fluency games, improving recall. It really is a really strong focus for the lower juniors. As we go through the year, the lower junior staff will identify children who may need further support, and intervention groups may be put into place throughout the year. We also have weekly times table tests as part of the year 3 and year 4 homework, and we really feel that it's just as important as the weekly spelling test, because it's all about learning those facts, improving that fluency and getting them ready for the times table test in year 4 so that their speed and recall is within that 6-second window. So as a school, we really want to work with adults at home when helping children learn their times table facts and improve their recall. So weekly homework is put onto Seesaw, and as part of this for year 4s and year 3s, but specifically for year 4s, there is a times table focus which is then tested within school. Children also have access to TT Rockstars, so their logins will go home at the start of the year, and then Times Table Rockstars is available for children to use at home as part of their learning, to to just really help improve that recall, and we would ask that any kind of times table practice, whether it's written, whether it's songs, whether it is using TT Rockstars, whatever works best for your child and your home environment, we would encourage regular times table practice at home. So thank you for watching and listening to this video. I really hope it's been useful and helpful to understand the multiplication check a little bit more and to understand why it's administered and what we are doing to get your child ready for it. If you do have any more questions or queries, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You can obviously call the school on 01246 566 502. You can send an email to whpadmin@learnerstrust.org, or you can send a Seesaw message to your child's class teacher, and of course you can catch Mr. Holmes on the gate if there is anything you'd like to raise with him.